Here is my new to me, I think it's an MRA8DE engine for a 2014 Sentra. This is supposed to go, well, this has 54,000 miles. Pretty cool engine. Never messed with these engines before, but I've got some valve train noise on my daughter's, so I picked up this engine. I'm just gonna, instead of replacing the timing chain or the tensioner, I think I'm just gonna swap out the engine and fix the original engine. But this one has 50,000, and the one in the Sentra has got 200,000. So I changed the spark plugs. It's the only thing I've changed on that engine. Just a good shot of them. I've changed the PCB. Thought to buy a clean, which is missing on this one. And it's got the exhaust. It's got a broken sensor there. Motor mount looks good. Water pump's good. I actually tried to replace the idler when I bought it 4 years ago, but I couldn't get to this bolt. So I've got a new one of those sitting on the shelf for 4 years. It looks nice and clean. Just gotta pop it in. Doesn't look like there's anything leaking or anything. Shouldn't be, only 50,000 miles. This thing's got 200,000 miles and nothing leaks. So, just want to inspect the valve train. Hopefully the oil's been changed 2 or 3 times. But nice engine, really nice and simple. I like how they put the intake on the front instead of the back, because on the Ultima with that KA24, changing that thing was a pain. I like a nice, new, smaller, easier, all aluminum engine. Wish I had 2 Sentras instead of Versa. Oh, here's the first step of replacing the engine on a Sentra.
You buffed out her headlights?
Gonna remove the top panel here, all these clips. I'm gonna take the bumper off just to get out of the way. Already raised the car. Quick check. So first step, I'm going to remove this top panel, slot of clips, and a couple of 6mm bolts. Once this thing comes off, I decided to take off the grill, and you have to take that off. I didn't know if you had to take that off or not. But underneath there's 2 clips, another clip over here, and now take the grill off.
Show them the clips under here so that
I had to push
these and these.
Those bottom
you don't
ones.
want to break those.
Yeah, to pop those off. Now the grill's off. So the goal is to remove the bumper so I have a lot more room in here. And I've already removed all the bolts on the bottom. Just take off, I haven't taken off any of the splash screens yet, but I've taken off all the clips and the bolts. Okay, so I've got rid of the front bumper. The only reason I did that was just to give me some more access to get a little closer. It's really not required. I did not remove this big plastic thing. I took all the clips off on the bottom, but there's another row of clips on the side going up, so if I need to I can get rid of that thing pretty easily. But I don't know if anybody has any idea why this is gray and the rest is black. I don't know if this has been in a wreck and this has been replaced, but I took off the plastic cover and this is all scratched all along here. I used to work at a Nissan dealer and deliver body parts all day, and this almost looks like the factory Nissan unpainted stuff. I have a feeling this is supposed to be black or body color. The hood stay is also gray, so I wonder if this was in a minor wreck years ago and they did a good job replacing it, because all the clips and everything look untouched, look original. But unless that's normal for that to be gray, looks like it's removable, which is nice. Don't plan on removing it though. I'm just going to replace the engine. The next step is pop this off. I've removed this in the past. So I changed the plugs when I bought it 4 years ago. Changed the PCB valve, cleaned the throttle body. I've changed the belt. I still got the tensioner. I didn't bother to. I think I've changed the oil. Don't think I've ever touched the coolant. I have changed the CVT oil a couple times just for maintenance. So I've taken all this stuff off. I think the battery, I took off like the bottle to get down to fill the oil back up. So next I gotta get the starter out, to get to the tranny bolts and disconnect every wire and hose and motor mount. So the first thing I'm gonna do is drain the radiator. Get that drained. So I got the bottom cover off for the first time ever. You can see the K&N filter I put on a while ago, I think last year. See, there's a big dent in the oil pan. Didn't know about that. Well, that may have been there. Forget now. But so now to pull the engine, leave the tranny. I don't know if there's any marks on these. Maybe this thing has been apart before. Who knows? Should be able to tell when I get into it. Gotta disconnect the exhaust and drain the coolant. So the first thing I do is figure out where the drain plug is. Okay. There's actually a hose on here. I don't know if that's low emission something on the drain valve. There we go. Let's get this thing draining. Oops. Let me get all this coolant out of here. There we go. Now I gotta take the cap off. Okay, just took the cap off. Now it's draining. Just took out this 1.6mm bolt, 10mm socket. Overflow bottle comes out. Just need a pair of pliers. And I think the next thing I'm gonna do is already disconnected this ground. Start disconnecting everything. Okay, so the coolant ball is off. Now I think I'm gonna remove the battery and disconnect it. These are all the clips for the front bumper. And these are all the bolts on the bottom of the bumper. So those aren't needed. So now I just gotta whip off the, it's not a 10? Okay. Take out the battery, get rid of that. And I'm just gonna disconnect all the wires. And I think the next step is take off that hose clamp. It's too hard to get to, so I'm just going to take the battery out to get to that clamp. And then it looks like this radiator, there's 2 bolts. I think I'm just going to leave this hose on. I think I am going to take the radiator out just to give me some room down there. Probably doesn't need to come out, but oh, that's weird. It's actually on bolt. This is a strange setup. It's actually bolt, so it looks like it's underneath this, which is just a couple of bolts and clips. But if that's part of the hood stay, I don't want to adjust the hood and everything. I don't want to take this off. Thank you. So I think the radiator is actually, it's a weird setup. Normally Nissan has a clamp that goes over the radiator. I think that's the only way to get the radiator out. Maybe I will leave the radiator in then. Maybe I'll just take off the hose and the shroud and not mess with the radiator. Okay. So we'll come back to that. It's just definitely, I saw a guy at the dealer take the intake upper plenum off just to get to the starter, to get the starter out, to get to the torque converter bolts. I don't know if I'm going to bother to do that. It looks like it'd be pretty easy to get to the starter if these hoses are out of the way. If I take out this hose and that shroud, so that's going to be my plan. I'm going to leave the intakes alone, even though these are usually rubber gaskets. I usually take them off and put them back on without changing the gaskets. I've done that on my Armada and other cars, no problem. Okay, I popped out the battery. There's a little battery tray. I always recommend taking out the battery just because it gives you so much room to stuff. I think you pretty much have to. It's all the bolts on the tranny are down there. So now, okay, it looks like there's 2 bolts down there. Take out this big monster bracket with the computer and the fuse box. I just popped out that clip, Hoping I can just take out those 2 bolts and then get this whole assembly off. I have to disconnect the computer. Yeah, let's just get the computer out of here. Alright. Okay, I think I got this. Man, there's a lot of... So disconnect the computers, push this little tab, cover those 3 wires, disconnect the fans down there, unplugged all the things, 2 connectors going in there, got this thing out. Now I just got to flip this over to the computer. There's a ground wire I got to remember about on the ECU, which is going up here to the fender. It's the #1 tool. Oh shoot, let me get to it. Maybe on this end somewhere. I don't even know where that is, behind the headlight. And I gotta get the back side of these clips. So you can actually do this without cutting or breaking any of these factory zip ties. And I did take out 1 bolt over here that holds this little bundle of wires. I almost got this out. So all these connectors are these type of pins. You just push on both sides and they just come out. So you can get all this stuff out of my way. So I just gotta get to the back side of these 2. And I'll be able to see the transmission. So I can do it. We got one side. I'm trying to do this left-handed now. Do it right-handed over the tool. Okay, the ECU is out. Just those 2 clips, 2 bolts at the bottom, nut on the side, and then disconnect the ground right at the ECU. So now I can actually remove this big chunk of steel by pushing that little tab with a screwdriver. Get that ugly thing out of the way. There's another big old bracket. Same thing, more clips on the bottom. Need to get all these wires out of my way. Wires. That's a big old harness that goes down. I guess that's the main engine harness right there. So I got to disconnect everything that connects to on the engine. Every little, looks like one of the injectors. Oh, I can't even get that one. And whatever this, oh, that was an easy one. There are these hoses, every electrical connector I could find. So, what I actually really want to do first is focus on getting rid of this radiator hose. I think I may just unbolt this and take this hose off. Yeah, I think that's what I was going to do. Okay, got those 2 bolts out. Took out these 2 hoses. And also got out that metal bracket. One right here. Just put a screwdriver in that hole. That hole right there, and it just slides out. We're getting to the point. Where's the training at? Oh, there's one of the training bolts right there. So we can actually pop this off. And just keep going on all these wires. We got a million to go. All the hoses. So I got rid of the water. I think I'm going to take off this fan shroud next. Looks like, I don't know what comes off it. Huh. I can see it hooks over the top. I don't see any fasteners though. Okay, I figured out the radiator fan. There's no bolts. It's just these clips. And I got this side off. This side, you can't get that bottom one. You got to get it over that tab. You got to squeeze that tab. Oh man, it's hard. I don't know if I could show this, but I think I got this top one. Really hard to see. Okay, I got one side of the radiator off. I can't get that other one off. I'm exhausted, so I'm taking off the power brakes hose, and I just removed that clip and dropped it on the floor. Just put that on the floor for now. That's at least one hose off. I think I'm gonna have to take the intake off to get to the injectors. I just realized. So, because they're underneath. So I may just whip these bolts off. I don't know. I wasn't planning on taking off the intake, but I guess I will have to. I think it'll just be easier. Just take all these bolts off.